Hey guys, hope you're having a great day. So I wanted to make this video for anybody who is maybe just starting out gardening or anything like that, and you want us to try growing corn. So as you can see right in front of me, I have this raised bed right here. I have two other beds that I already planted for everything else. It's May 31st today, so just about the end of May, beginning of June, and I'm going to be starting some corn today. Now, I'm going to be devoting an entire bed just to corn, and that's because corn grows a little bit differently than other plants do. So corn has a type of fertilization, I guess, that would be different than other plants in terms of they don't necessarily need bees or any other insects like that to fertilize them, whereas they actually use air, which hopefully you don't hear too much of right now because it is a little bit windy. Anyways, so corn grows in the sense of having the top part of the plant holding all the pollen, and then at each corn husk there's like the silks or tassels that come out of the side. And when you see a picture of, or when you see corn growing anyways, and you see those hanging off, each one of those little strings that's hanging off from the top of the corn actually connects to a kernel. So every single string needs to get fertilized in order for all of the kernels to eventually grow, and then that's what makes the cob of corn. And in order to successfully do that, you have to have a lot of corn plants around so that way there's enough pollen to get blown through the air so that way everything gets fertilized. So you may go to a garden center and see a whole bunch of vegetable starts and all that kind of stuff, and you'll see a pack of corn, like a 4-pack of corn, and there's like maybe 8-10 plants in that one thing. However, they may not tell you at the garden center that 10 plants won't suffice. You actually need, I believe it's about at least a 4-foot by 4-foot space of corn to be growing. I don't know if there's a specific amount of plants or anything, but that's what I've heard is about the minimum. So this bed that I have in front of me is 3 feet long by 8 feet. So this will definitely be plenty for me to get like a good amount of corn plants growing. And I'm just gonna be doing them by rows. So I'll show you that whole process. We're gonna first till it up, and then I'll make the rows for it. I'm gonna add in some compost, and I'll show you that bag as well. And then also some fertilizer. But what I will say is, for the easiest way to start corn would be just starting it by seed. So a lot of plants you might start, or you might buy them at garden centers or stuff like that because, you know, they're already started for you. It's a lot easier. They're already going instead of starting them from seed, all that kind of stuff. And things like, you know, tomatoes or maybe cucumbers, stuff like that is definitely easier to just get the starts from. However, corn, typically most varieties take, I would say, about 70 to 80 days to mature. So you actually don't even need to start them from seed in order to get your whole season's worth. Now, you could do succession growing, but that's a whole other topic. The way that I'm going to be growing it today is just starting everything at once, and then we'll have one large harvest. So the variety I'm going to be starting today, I'll put a picture closer on the screen. It's called Peaches and Cream, and it takes about 83 days to mature. So starting it, we'll just say June 1st, so the beginning of June, starting all of these plants. It will take them until, I think, around the middle of August, I would say, because maybe the end of August for them to be finished. And then after that point, you could harvest all the corn, and you can cut down the stalks and, you know, use them for decoration or anything like that. But you could start, there's definitely like a window that you have for when you want to start it. Just make sure that you check to see whenever your last frost date is, and that you're starting them after that point. So our last frost date typically is around May 15th, I would say, around then. So by the end of May, we're far from a frost. Most of the nights have been in the 50s. And the warmer the temperature is, the faster that your seeds are going to germinate as well, and they'll grow pretty fast. So at this point, I'll go ahead, I'll start the time lapse and just speed up the rest of the process, but I'll show you how we're actually going to be planting it. Okay, so what we did was we tilled up all of the dirt, And then I added a bag of compost in, and I'll talk about the compost at the end if you want to hear more about that, but I'll just move on from this point. And then we also added garden tone as the fertilizer. So that's kind of what you see the strips of. And then you can see down here too that we do have the corn seeds in there. So I had those 3 packets of seeds, so I figured I would just spread them throughout those 4 rows. This is, like I said before, this is 3 feet across, so there's probably like a good maybe 8 inches or so in between, maybe 6 to 8 inches in between each row. And then what I'm going to do is, as the corn grows, there are more seeds than I'm actually going to need plants, so I'll thin that out. And that's something I always recommend, is definitely overseed whatever you need. Always have more seeds than what you actually than how many plants you actually need, and then you can always thin it out. So once they grow, I'll just thin them out about 8 to 12 inches. Just look at the seed packet whenever you're starting them. And so there'll just be all these corn plants along here, and then they'll be in nice rows. And that'll also help me in case there's any like weeds that are starting to grow as the corn grows. I'll be able to distinguish the difference between the corn and the weeds, just because the corn will be in straight rows. I will say though, when you are starting the seeds though, it's better off to just wait a little bit for weeding, just so that way, you know, you can actually let the plants grow in case you accidentally pull them up, because I'm sure we've all done that before by accident. But I weeded everything before this, so hopefully there won't be any weeds that pop up beforehand. So all we're going to do is just cover up these rows, and then we're going to water everything in. And then after that, we're just going to be watering it just to make sure that it stays wet. Maybe not every single day if we're going to be getting rain, but just not letting it dry out. Okay, so I covered all the rows up, and just so you know, I did bury those seeds about 1/2 inch deep. Different seeds need different requirements, but like I said before, just check what's on the back of the seed packet, and then you should be good. But that's all taken care of. It's watered in, and we're just going to be keeping an eye on it. So I'll be making update videos on when these are growing and how they're doing and all that kind of stuff. And definitely a harvest video as well, so you could see what this ends up looking like in the end. And it's really great to grow corn because my favorite part actually is not even the corn aspect of it, but actually cutting all these down like at the end of August, beginning of September, letting them dry out, and then using them around our house and everything for decoration, because I love the look that corn stalks have. But anyways, so this is all taken care of for now. It's pretty easy to set it up at first. But if you are interested, I am going to also talk about what I used for compost and then also fertilizer. All right, so the 2 things that I did use when I planted these corn seeds were I used a bag of compost, and I just used 1 bag for the whole bed. I'm pretty much just mixed it in like where the actual seed is growing, but the rest of this is all loam that we actually just got delivered this year, so it's pretty fresh and full of nutrients. But then also, to add some more, we also use this bag of, it's called Garden Food. This is from Espoma. It's not organic, which I realized if I knew that this wasn't organic when I got it, then I wouldn't have gotten it. I would have gotten Garden Tone, which is the organic version of this. But this will still work. It's a nice slow release fertilizer. I think I will do this 1 more time throughout the season, but this will definitely feed them and they'll be good. And then the compost is just nice because it does add some more into the soil. It'll help them get started and like give them like a jump start, I guess. Now what I will say is I live in Rhode Island, and I got this bag from my local garden center, and this actually is specifically for Rhode Island. It actually says it was made around here. So if you don't live in the area, then you're not going to be able to find what I specifically use, but I'll put a picture up on the screen of what it looks like. But as long as you just use any type of compost, then you should be fine. Really anything that you use is going to help the plants no matter what. So as long as you find some sort of compost, it'll work great. So besides that, I hope you liked the video. I hope it was informational. If you have any other questions relating to it, feel free to ask me, and I'll definitely try to answer to the best of my ability. Besides that, I hope you liked this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.